What overfed dogs and cats look like? What can the fattest elephant and obese female giraffe do? And how chubby can hedgehogs, squirrels, and monkeys be? You're about to see and find out. In this episode, I'll show you the world's fattest animals that'll surprise you. Let's go. Yossi. Everyone knows that the African bush elephant is the largest land animal in the world. Usually, these giants grow up to 20 to 23 feet in length, 10 to 13 feet in height, and weigh up to 3 to 5 tons. There are some incredible exceptions. For example, an elephant shot in Angola in 1974, its weight was 12.2 tons. Could be called a fat elephant, but that title's already been secured by Yossi, the world's fattest elephant at the moment. He's also often called the world's largest elephant. He lives in captivity in a zoo in Israel. At a height of 12.4 feet, he weighs no less than 7 tons. This isn't the limit for the African bush elephant, but the zoo staff says that the fat guy has trouble squeezing through the gates and has problems moving around. It's generally accepted that fat ones are kind, but Yossi is clearly not that case. For example, in 2007, he attacked a 46-year-old elephant, which led to her death. The elephant was placed under temporary arrest after that. The scary thing about this story is that the elephantine was a kind of spouse for Yossi. She gave birth to 20 elephants from him. Shaky. Next up is a giraffe. While the elephant is the largest land animal in the world, the giraffe is the tallest one. These creatures tend to be slim and elegant. It's hard to imagine a fat giraffe, but there are some. For example, the female Shaky. At 22 feet tall, she weighs 5,070 pounds. This is much more than the norm because even the heaviest female giraffes rarely weigh more than 2,645 pounds. Shaky has been seen in the wild just a few times, but eyewitnesses have noted that they've been able to see her speed. According to them, she runs faster than her congeners. Uncle Fatty. A male macaque named Uncle Fatty from Thailand became famous in 2017 when authorities became interested in his appearance and weight. Then Uncle Fatty settled in one of Bangkok's markets and began to eat everything in a row. The macaque was not squeamish about unhealthy treats from tourists. Uncle Fatty rarely moved, and this led to the fact that by the age of 20, he's reached the mark of 57 to 60 pounds. Doesn't take a genius to realize that's much higher than the norm. The authorities and many locals could not bear to see such a sight. Though the macaque looked funny, the excessive weight threatened his health. So Uncle Fatty was sent to a farm, where he was put on a special diet: green vegetables, fruit with low sugar content, and water. 3 months later, the animal's veterinarian reported that his patient's stomach was no longer dragging on the ground while walking. The macaque has managed to lose 13 pounds. Cassie. Few animals are honored to get into the Guinness Book of World Records, but Cassie the Border Collie dog did it. It's not much of an achievement though, the world's fattest dog. At the maximum, Cassie weighed 128 pounds, about 3 times the norm for dogs of this breed. From the photos, you can clearly see the difference between a border collie with a normal weight and the record holder. Many people think that fat pets are funny and cute. I would only partially agree. Chubby pets are indeed adorable, but overfed pets are painful to look at. Cassie ate everything from deep-fried fish to candy to chips and fast food. This led to the fact that it became not only difficult for the dog to move, but even to breathe. The dog was also at risk for many very dangerous diseases. Fortunately, Cassie eventually got help. She was placed in a shelter where she was put on a strict diet and taken into full custody. Barsik. Since there was a dog, I should also show you a cat, or rather one of the fattest cats on the planet. The cat named Barsik comes from New York, and a few years ago, he became an internet star when everyone became aware of his size. The animal's weight at the time was 40.7 pounds. That's 24 to 29 pounds above the norm. Like Cassie, the cat was given to a shelter. But because of its phenomenal size, Barsik could not fit into any of the cages, so they had to build a separate corner in the office for him. The shelter took care of Barsik thoroughly. First of all, they formed a new dietary regime. The cat began to eat often, but in small portions. Soon the cat, who's gotten in shape a little, was taken to her home by one of the shelter's volunteers. Siberian tiger. And here are the distant relatives of chubby Barsik, and they're chubby too, though more likely they're full-fledged fat guys. These Siberian tigers caused a furor when a few years ago, videos and photos of them appeared on the internet. The tigers inhabiting the Chinese city of Harbin disturbed the animal rights activists who saw clear signs of serious obesity in the striped predators. Difficult to argue with that. Outwardly, these fat guys hardly look like they're ready to deal with any prey. They're more likely to deal with some fast food or the drone that so annoyingly films them. Even though these tigers look very big and fat, according to wildlife officials, it's okay. As they said, the tigers gained weight for the winter to have fat reserve and should get in shape in the spring without any diet. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe there's nothing wrong with their story at all. After all, Siberian tigers live in a cold climate, so extra fat can be a great way to survive frost. Holly. Bears are large creatures themselves. Brown bears, for example, weigh between 176 and 882 pounds, but it's very rare to see a very heavy and fat bear. It's even rarer to see the real record holders, like Holly, for example. In 2019, she was recognized as the fattest bear on the entire planet. The fat lady gained about 805 pounds, which was almost entirely represented by fat and fur. Holly was identified as the winner of the annual Fat Bear Week contest held at Katmai National Park and Preserve in Alaska. The female bear outperformed 11 competitors in the fight for such an unusual title. But in 2020, it was Holly who got outperformed. It did a bear named 747, so he was named after the Boeing 747, and not coincidentally because the bear is also huge, like the airliner. He's much fatter than Holly and is estimated that he weighs 1,400 pounds. Such bears are extremely rare, which makes 747 a unique individual. Thumbelina. Who do you think of when you hear the word Thumbelina? Probably of the tiny and kind girl from the fairy tale, right? It's unlikely that by Thumbelina you imagine the squirrel, but that's her name. It's one of the fattest squirrels on the planet. The cute creature was found in a nest in a New York City apartment. Apparently, Thumbelina made her way there after her first nest was destroyed due to construction work that was going on nearby. Christina and Michael, who were in charge of animal rescue, rescued the squirrel from the trouble. Thumbelina turned out to be pregnant. She soon gave birth to squirrels, but Christina and Michael decided to let them go into the wild. Thumbelina herself was not adapted to the wilderness, so Christina and Michael kept her. In her new family, the squirrel gained weight and received care and love. Thumbelina spent time with the couple, lying on the couch, watching TV, and eating her favorite foods. Oshine. And here's one that's fatter and bigger than the obese squirrel. Oshine is a female orangutan. For a long time, she lived in a family as an exotic pet. The owners were very fond of Oshine and made sure she never went hungry. They fed the female with everything from regular food to junk food like chips, candy, marmalade, jam, and so on. As a result, by the age of 13, Oshine had developed a serious form of obesity. The female orangutan fattened up to 220 pounds, which of course exceeded all permissible norms. Usually it happens that volunteers find out about such stories, come to the house, and take the overfed animal to put it on a diet. But in this case, the owners themselves realized that they'd screwed up and harmed the pet, so they gave her to a British animal rescue center on their own. There, they put Oshine on a diet, and it worked. Within 2 years, Oshine lost 44 pounds and began to feel much better. Hedgehog. Meet Arbuckle, the hedgehog. He's probably the fattest of all its congeners. He was found in Scotland several years ago. This chubby, prickly creature weighed 7.2 pounds, almost 4 times the normal weight. The cute and funny hedgehog was so overfed that he couldn't even curl up into a ball and could hardly move on his paws. As in the case of Oshine, Arbuckle was helped. He was transferred to a pet protection organization where the fatty was prescribed a strict diet and regular exercise. Pancho. A chubby sea lion named Pancho lives in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Locals call him the king of sea lions and even the sea lord. And this is not surprising given the size of this animal. Supposedly, Pancho is the fattest sea lion in the region, and this is taking into account that other local sea lions in general gain weight quickly and are well fed. But Pancho has surpassed them all in terms of size because he's figured out a simple way to get fish. Local fishermen often feed small fish to marine animals that pass by, and unlike his congeners, Pancho doesn't wait for a fish to be thrown to him. He climbs onto the boats himself and begs for food. In return, he entertains fishermen and sailors, smiles, and cheers everyone up. Penguins. Penguins are well-fed creatures themselves. It couldn't be otherwise because they have to survive in extremely low temperatures. Recently, however, more and more obese and fat penguins have appeared. The unusual animals have interested scientists. So far, they don't know what causes the obesity of these wild Antarctic birds. Chubby penguins can also be found in zoos, but they're probably just overfed. As for the wild penguins, their size remains a mystery. But one thing is clear, these creatures should pull themselves together, get on the treadmill and run a little. Otherwise, they won't escape seals and leopard seals in Antarctica. That's all, guys. Which fat animal surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.